Team, welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm stoked to see you. So the FBI director, Chris Wray, has declared earlier this week that the threat of a terrorist activity happening on the United States soil is at a much higher risk than it has been in the past. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and your comments down below about what you may be doing in response to this warning. Now, we could be like folks who live on the coast, especially the Gulf Coast and the Atlantic Coast, who year after year deal with hurricanes just destroying their coastline. And yet they wait until that hurricane is right on the edge before they do anything, right? If you've lived on the coastline, if you live there now, I'm sure you can testify to this fact. People wait until it is already happening. And we saw this just a few years ago. And the events that unfolded absolutely threw our society into disarray as people lost their minds. Well, here you have somebody that a lot of folks don't have a lot of faith and trust and confidence in anyways because of the operations and actions that they have taken here and the things that they have not done. But all that put aside, you have this warning that there is an increased threat. Also correlates and corresponds to the CENTCOM commander canceling the Marine Corps ball, which was somehow scheduled for November 16th down in Tampa, Florida. Now, that is also absolutely insane and crazy. But what are we going to do? Now, I'm going to offer something to you all, and first, let's partake of something together. It's the old flask. It hasn't made its appearance here in a while, but if you didn't know, my flask is filled with the tears of a commie every time that you like and subscribe and share videos and all that kind of jazz and leave comments. Oh, and I appreciate you guys. And I'm not going to tell you to do all those things. Like, you're way smarter at all this than I am, but every time you do, man, it really does help the channel out, and I appreciate what you guys are doing down there. So let's put this back up and grab a couple more things here. So one of the things that you can do, and this is, I will admit, it is a little bit of a shameless plug, but whatever, is to have something, and this is just a resource I'm going to give you. What I would submit to you is that you need offline knowledge and resources, right? You need things that are offline. Now, what kind of resources do you need? Man, you need resources like how to do electrical wiring in your house, how to do plumbing, how to do carpentry, how to do electrical work, medical books. Having a physical library of things that, as it relates to all that stuff, as well as just some basic survival, homesteading, gardening, all that jazz, is going to be absolutely critical and paramount. And you can get them on the cheap, right? You go to a used bookstore in your area, you walk in and you look at what they have, and you can get books, for pennies on the dollar. And what's good about going to these locations, these used bookstores that are in your area, is odds are you're also going to find some things as it relates to your environment, specifically your environment, edible plants, wildlife, all of that stuff that nobody can have. You've heard the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. Nobody can have hardcore concrete knowledge except after a long and dedicated life of mastering our craft in these areas in every single subject. So you have a little bit of knowledge here and here, but what you need is something that you can go pick up, something that a family member can go and pick up, right? And one of those things is also the SHTF Field Manual. This one, just released a couple weeks ago on Amazon, is available in both hardback and softback, right? But one of the things that sets this book apart from a typical field manual is that it's not written like an Army or Marine Corps field manual. If you've ever read one, you know that it's not the most practical things to read, because what you get is a lot of theory, right? You get, this level, but what you really need is how to operate at the squad and team level and individual level. Now you can find, some old books, the old Green Monsters and everything else, which are good for some things, but it doesn't really connect those basic, skill level 10 tasks, those individual tasks, with the larger picture. And so what this SHTF field manual does is it takes mission planning and operational variables and mission variables and how to patrol and how to conduct, security operations, how to track and counter track, how to do evasive operations, and it puts it into some language that you can go out and take out and apply. It also has a basic scenario. I say basic, but it has a very long scenario that goes from beginning of mission planning to convoy operations to establishing a site and securing it. And so it takes all of the theory, and it puts it into a scenario so you can see how it works out in a practical way, right? Does that make sense? I'm really stoked about this book, and if you've read it, if you have a copy of it, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And definitely make sure you go over to Amazon and leave a review, man. That would be fantastic. Whether you like it, you don't like it, you think it's crap, whatever. Definitely looking forward to hearing your thoughts and your comments down below. I have been asked to provide some signed copies, and I may do that. I have a batch of hardback and softback books, and I'll try to get some on the website soon and just get a new product there. I just don't have it yet. But if you would like a signed copy, leave me some comments down below so that I know that this is something that I need to get after. But it all begins with some basic fieldcraft stuff again, and then it rolls into some of the good stuff. So how to actually implement a PACE plan. What is a COCA? What is MET-TC all about? And so it doesn't just define these principles. It doesn't just give you a checklist to work off of. Again, it gives you some scenarios where these things are actually put into play. And it's one scenario that covers all of them. And the reason I did that was so that you can see how it relates to the previous ideas and things that we need to be getting after. Because I can tell you that ultimately, man, it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when, right? This is not a doom and gloom message. This is just, one dude looking back on history, thousands of years of history, and can see this cycle that humanity goes through of ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, of war and famine and of times of blessing, right? Well, here in the United States, we've kind of been the hot dogs, as it were, for, a couple hundred years, right? Ever since we threw some tea in the bay, out in the harbor, right? We did that for a few cents of taxes, and look at how much we're taxed now, right? So whether you're thinking about an economic collapse because of how much in debt we are, whether you're thinking about some kind of a societal collapse as the population doesn't have a common identity, right? We don't have a common way of understanding who we are. Whether you're thinking about, a domestic threat rising up and saying, we need to go burn the streets down. and have Summer of Love times 2. It'd be like all them driving movies, whatever the hell they're called, right? The Fast and Dummiest. And we're going to have like 30 of them cranked out because Hollywood doesn't know what to do about how to make original ideas. So we're going to have a repeat of that. Is it going to be bigger? Maybe you're thinking about something that is domestic but is much darker in nature, as in higher. Maybe you're thinking and concerned about secret and shadow governments or whatever operating and using all those 3-letter agencies to operate against the common citizen. Maybe you're thinking about an exterior threat coming to U.S. soil. Maybe you're concerned about hundreds of thousands of people coming in, millions of people coming in, undocumented, with unknown backgrounds. Maybe you think that they're being, supported by those people who are out in that dark cloud. Maybe you're just concerned about an environmental collapse. Another, Katrina coming in to your area. What would happen if Katrina had hit, maybe more on the eastern side, somewhere up in the middle? Who knows? Maybe you're concerned about Yellowstone going off. Maybe you're concerned about Mount Rainier going off and the cataclysmic effects that would have as weather patterns go, west to east and north to south, right? Or epic flooding. Whatever it is, like the writing is on the wall that something has to happen, but we don't know when, we don't know how, we don't know why, right? If anybody tells you that this is what is going to happen, right? The end of the world is going to happen at the end of 2023. I would be careful of the Kool-Aid that you drink. Because ultimately it doesn't matter what happens, when it happens, how it happens. What's important is that you know that something is going to happen and that you have a general preparation for anything that does happen. And that means that you get out and you train. That means that you live a prepared and self-reliant life. That means that you're cognizant of who you are with your family, in your community, your neighborhood, your county, your city, what state you live in. You're aware of the threats. It's all risk assessment, identifying those hazards and determining the risk. And we do these two things, but because we don't live with integrity, we fail to do the third thing, which is to create ways to mitigate those risks. We're aware that some crap is not good, and when crap happens that's not good, we kind of shimmy and shake, and then we go and we bury our head in the sand because we're too afraid to take action to be ready for what is bound to come. Living in a crazy, crazy time, team. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, that's for sure. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts about what is the most likely threat to happen or to emerge as we all continue to master our craft and develop our tactical virtue. Man, I appreciate you guys because that's what this channel is all about, and that's what this community is all about. That's what happens down in the comments. Your comments down below from your own experience is what generates an authentic community. And I'm humbled to be along with the ride with you as we all walk through life together. Team, I appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked. Team, if you want to master your craft and develop your tactical virtue, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on future content. Consider becoming a channel member. It's going to give you exclusive access to content not available to anybody else. I appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.